Hello everyone. Today's topic of discussion is roots of quadratic equations. Okay. Now you can calculate roots of any equation. You can calculate for a linear equation, for a cubic equation, for an equation having degree 4 and so on and so forth. But in this video what we'll be discussing is, or we'll be emphasizing on, that is roots of quadratic equation. Okay. So the things that we'll be covering up under this topic is basically what are roots, how do you define them, because that's the first thing we need to understand. The second thing that we'll be understanding is how do we calculate them, then the type of roots, then how do you calculate sum and product of the roots, and how to get equations if the roots are given. Alright. So if you have the equation, you can calculate the roots, but we need to understand the other way around also. That is, if the roots are given to you, then how do you calculate the equation? Okay. So let's get started. The first thing we need to understand is what are roots. Now before you understand what are roots, you need to first of all understand what is a function. What is a function? Okay. So function is basically like an industry or a manufacturing unit. Like what happens in an industry or a manufacturing unit is that you provide raw materials as your input and you get finished goods as your output, right? This is what you do. This is what you get basically. The function behaves in the same way. Whatever type of function you may have, in case of function, you provide an input value and corresponding to that, you get an output value. You may have a linear function. A linear function is a function whose maximum degree of variable is 1. You may have a quadratic function, maximum degree is 2. You may have a cubic function, maximum degree is 3, and so on and so forth. You can also have like logarithmic function or trigonometric function. Whatever type of function you may have, every function has one simple role to perform, that for the corresponding input values you have provided, you're going to get the output values. That's it. Nothing else is there. For example, let's say I have a linear function. So let's say my linear function is f(x) is equal to 4x plus 6. So you can provide input value. Let's suppose x is equal to 0. So if you're going to provide x is equal to 0, you're going to get output that is 4 into 0 plus 6, that's 6. You can also provide an input value x is equal to 1. You're going to get output value of 10, that is 4 plus 6. Provide minus 1 as the input value, you're going to get an output value of 2. Similarly, you can have a quadratic function also, which is like, let's suppose x square plus 2x plus 1, for example. So if you can provide input value, let's suppose x is equal to 0, you're going to get output equals to 1. You can provide x is equal to 1, you're going to get 1 plus 2, 3 plus 1, that's 4. You can provide x is equal to minus 1, so that is minus 1, sorry, that's 1 because minus 1 square is 1. 1 minus 2 plus 1, so that's equal to 0, and so on and so forth. So basically whatever type of function you may have, every function has one simple role to perform. For the input value that you provide, it's going to give you the corresponding output value. That's it. Nothing else is there. Okay. So it's like basically a relation between input and output. Now, if you write in the form of fx, then this is known as the functional form. If you replace fx by y, like y is equal to 4x plus 6 and y is equal to x square plus 2x plus 1, then this is basically known as the equation form. That's the only difference. Okay, there is no other difference. If you write it in the form of fx, then it's the functional form. If you write it in the form of y, it's the equation form. You can also have function with respect to y, with respect to z, with respect to a. For example, you can have a function something like fa is equal to 4a plus 7. So this is a function with respect to a. What do you mean by with respect to a? That the variable is a. When I have a function with respect to x, what do you mean by with respect to x? your variable is x. What do you mean by variable? Variable is something that keeps on changing. Okay, so this is something that we'll be discussing when we'll be doing the basics of functions. As of now, in this video we are more concerned towards roots, so let's stick to that. Okay, so now we understand this term function. Now the second thing we need to understand is what are roots. Okay, let's try and understand. Now roots you can calculate for any type of function, so we need to have a generalized definition for the same. So when you talk about the term roots, you can also call them solutions. You can also call them x-intercepts. All the three names are valid. Roots, solution, x-intercept. They are called x-intercept when the function is with respect to x. Okay. So what are roots? How do you define them? So roots are basically those input values. Roots are basically those input values for which your output values is equal to 0. Roots are basically those input values for which your output value is equal to 0. Or if your function is with respect to x, then you can say that those values of x for which fx is equal to 0. Those values of x for which fx is equal to 0. So let's suppose I say that I have a function fx is equal to x plus 3. I need to find a typical value of x for which fx is equal to 0. Now this is a very simple equation. So just by looking at it, you can say that, okay, at x is equal to minus 3, you will have fx is equal to 0. So what is the root of this linear equation? The root of this linear equation is minus 3. Okay, so you can have root for any equation. It's not that root is a concept only for quadratic. You can have root for any equation. Similarly, let's say if I change and let's say I have fx is equal to x square plus 2x. So again I'm looking for the value of x for which fx is equal to 0. I'm looking for the value of x for which fx is equal to 0. So how do we do that? We'll come to that point later on. As of now, just to make you understand the meaning, if you're going to put x is equal to 0 or x is equal to minus 2 in this equation, then you will get fx is equal to 0. You can plug in the values and check also. When x is 0, 0 square plus 2 into 0 is 0. When you're going to put minus 2 square is 4. 2 into minus 2 is minus 4. So again you have 0. So what are roots? Roots are basically those input values for which your output value is equal to 0. Or now generally we write the function in terms of x. So you can say that those values of x for which the value of function is equal to 0 or for which y is equal to 0. Okay, I hope the definition is clear to everyone. All right, and the next thing is how do you calculate them? Now when you talk about calculating roots for a quadratic equation, there are like two ways. The first way, now let me write the general form of a quadratic equation. The general form of a quadratic equation is nothing but ax square plus bx plus c, where a, b and c are constants. Now these things do stand for something, and these things we'll be discussing in the basics of functions. Okay, now in this case remember that a is never equal to 0. So your quadratic equation or the function is in the form ax square plus bx plus c. If you want to calculate the roots, there are two ways. First is by using the formula. If you're going to use the formula to calculate the roots, then the formula is minus b plus minus under root b square minus 4ac divided by 2. The formula is minus b plus minus under root b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. So b is coefficient of x, a is coefficient of x squared, c is the constant term. Okay, so let's say let's start with something simple. Let's say I have a function fx is equal to x square plus 4x plus 6, for example. And if I ask you to calculate roots of this function, let's do one thing. Let's put this as minus 6. Let's put this as minus 6. I want to calculate roots of this function. So plug in the values in the formula. You're going to get minus 4 plus minus b square, that is 16 minus 4 into 1 into minus 6 divided by 2. So that is minus 4 plus minus, so 16 minus 4 into minus 6 is 24 divided by 2. So that is minus 4 plus minus root 40 divided by 2. Now you can also write root 40 as for root 40 is 4 into 10, so that's 2 root 10. So that is minus 4 plus minus 2 root 10 divided by 2. So that is minus 2 plus minus root 10. So you can see that your two roots are, one is minus 2 plus root 10, one is minus 2 minus root 10. Okay. Now, how many roots is a quadratic equation going to have? Now remember that the number of roots, no matter what type of roots you may have, we'll discuss the types of roots also. The number of roots is always equal to highest degree of the function. The number of roots is always equal to highest degree of the function. So a quadratic equation will always have two roots. A quadratic equation or a quadratic function will always have two roots. Okay, it will never have one root or zero roots or three roots. It will always have two roots. Okay, so this is how you can solve, or this is how you can calculate roots using the formula. So the formula is simply minus b plus minus under root b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. So for these two values, what this basically means is, when you're gonna put minus 2 plus root 10 and minus 2 minus root 10, when you're gonna put these two values in this equation, you will get fx is equal to 0. You will get fx is equal to 0. This is the meaning, this is the interpretation of the root. Or in other terms, you can say that when you're going to draw the graph, for this function, it's going to be a parabola. The graph for a quadratic equation always comes out to be a parabola. So the graph is going to cut the x-axis at these 2 points. You can say that this point here will be minus 2 minus root 10, and this point here is nothing but minus 2 plus root 10. Root 10 is greater than 2, so 2 plus root 10 will be positive. This is why it's also known as the x-intercept. What is x-intercept? X-intercept is the value of x for which y is equal to 0. Or what is root? Roots are basically those input values for which function is equal to 0. Now we put the value of function on y-axis, and on x-axis y is equal to 0. On x-axis y is equal to 0. You can call this as roots, but you can call this as x-intercepts. It's one and the same. But what's the meaning of roots? When you're going to put these values in place of x in the function, you will get fx is equal to 0. This is the meaning of the term roots, or solutions, or x-intercepts. Okay. Now another way of calculating roots is known as middle term splitting. Another method is known as the middle term splitting. So let's take an example so as to understand this. Let's say I have a quadratic equation x square plus 6x plus 8. Okay, you will always write your quadratic equation in the form of ax square plus bx plus c. That is, at the leftmost you're going to have x square with its coefficient, then in the middle you're going to have x with its coefficient, and then the constant term. You will always write it in this form, even if it is given to you in some other form. For example, in the exam it's given to you that you have a quadratic function 6x plus x square plus 8. So first you will rewrite this as x square plus 6x plus 8, and then you're going to solve whatever you wish to solve. Okay, anyways, coming back to the middle term splitting. What is middle term splitting? The middle term splitting says that you're going to split this middle term, this is the middle term, in this case at 6x, into two parts. Let's call them a and b, for example, into two parts, such that product of those two parts is equal to product of the first part and the third part. That is, what I mean to say is, I want AB equal to x square into 8. I want AB equals to x square into 8. I want to split 6x into two parts such that product of those two parts is equal to the first and the third part. Now how would you like divide this middle term into two parts? How would you come to know that? That will only come with practice. That will only come with practice. And this middle term splitting may not help you with all the questions. For example, if I give you a question something as x square plus 7x plus 1, if I ask you to calculate roots of this function, you can't do middle term splitting in this. You can't split 7x into two parts such that the product of the two parts is equal to x square and 1. That's not gonna happen. Okay. Anyway, so in this case, the example that we have taken, which is x square plus 6x plus 8, in this case you can do middle term splitting. So once you start solving questions, once you start practicing questions, slowly and gradually you'll learn, or you'll catch up in which question we can do middle term splitting or not. But as far as the formula is concerned, you can use formula for any of the questions. You can use formula for any of the questions. Alright, anyways, coming back to this. So I wish to divide this 6x into two parts such that product of those two parts is equal to x square and 8. So I'm gonna rewrite my equation as x square plus 2x plus 4x plus 8. And since I'm calculating roots, so my fx will be 0, so I'm gonna equate this to 0. I'm equating this to 0 because I'm calculating roots, and when I talk about roots, my function is 0. Okay, that's why I'm doing this. Okay, now you can group them. So group these two and group these two. So x into x plus 2 plus 4 into x plus 2 is equal to 0. Then you can take x plus 2 common again, x plus 2 into x plus 4 is equal to 0. So you're going to get x is equal to minus 2 and x is equal to minus 4. These are your two roots. You can cross verify what you have done by using the formula. So you can do this will be minus 6 plus minus b square, which is 36, minus 4 into 1 into 8, 4 into 8 is 32 divided by 2. So that's minus 6 plus minus 2 divided by 2. So you're going to get minus 2 and minus 4. So your two roots are minus 2 and minus 4. So your x-intercepts are minus 2 and minus 4. So you can also verify, put -2 back in the equation. If you're going to put -2 back in the equation, so I'm going to get like 4 minus 12 plus 8. This will give you the value of function as 0. That's why the roots are also known as x-intercepts. Put -4 back. You're going to go put -4 back. So that's 16 minus 24 plus 8. This is also equal to 0. Again, the value of the function is equal to 0. That's why these are known as x-intercepts. Looking for the values of x for which y is equal to 0. This is how you calculate root. This is why they are called x-intercepts, if the function is in terms of x. Alright. So we'll be practicing question, but I hope this is understand like how do you calculate the root. So always remember the formula. Middle term splitting may help you in some of the cases. It's not going to help you in all of the cases. Alright, next thing is the types of roots. Now when you talk about this formula, that is minus b plus minus under root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. The part that you have within the under root, this is b square minus 4ac, this goes by the name of discriminant and represented by the letter d. You can rewrite your formula as minus b plus minus root d divided by 2a. Now as far as d is concerned, there are like 3 things that can happen. D can be greater than 0, D can be equal to 0, and D can be less than 0. D can be positive, D can be 0, D can be negative. These are the only 3 things that can happen, nothing else can happen. Now if D is greater than 0, then we say that our roots are real and distinct. For example, let's say I have a function x square plus 7x plus 1. Let's calculate the roots. So I'm gonna have minus 7 plus minus b square. B square is 49. 49 minus 4 divided by 2. Oh, that's minus 7 plus minus root 45 by 2. Now root 45 is somewhere around like 6.8, 6.9. But anyways, you'll observe that you're gonna get like 2 real values. Negative values are also real values. I'm simply saying the values are real and distinct. So my one root is minus 7 plus root 45 by 2. My another root is minus 7 minus root 45 by 2. So whenever your discriminant is greater than 0, and you can see it for yourself that 49 minus 4 is greater than 0. 49 minus 4 is greater than 0. Okay. So if someone asks you the nature of the root, just by calculating, you can say this topic is also like the nature of the roots. Sometimes we use that term, nature of the roots. So the nature is the roots are real and distinct. Okay. Alright. So whenever your discriminant is greater than 0, you don't even have to calculate the roots, just calculate the discriminant. If your discriminant is positive, you can say that the nature is real and distinct. Real number is any number that lies on a real number line, and distinct means 2 separate roots. That's why real and distinct roots. So if you specifically talk about a quadratic equation, and since the graph comes out to be a parabola, so if you want to understand this with the help of a graph, so if you have real and distinct roots, so I'm gonna simply draw the x-axis because y-axis has no concern as far as root is concerned. So you can say that your parabola will be something like this. your parabola can be something like this. Basically the point is it's gonna intersect the x-axis at two different points. It's gonna intersect the x-axis at two different points. This is what is meant by real and distinct roots. This is what is meant by real and distinct roots. Second is real and equal roots. So for example, let's say I have this equation. Which one should we take? Let's take x square plus 6x plus 9. So let's calculate the roots. So that's going to be minus 6 plus minus b square, which is 36, minus 4 into 1 into 9. 4 into 9 is also 36, divided by 2. So it's going to be minus 6 divided by 2, which is equal to minus 3. Now when you write real and equal, many people understand in this case that there is only one root, which is not the right way to put this up. There are still two roots. It's just that both the roots have equal value. There are still two roots. It's just that both the roots have equal value. A quadratic equation never has one root. It always has two roots. It's just that in case of real and equal, both the roots are equal. That's it. Nothing else. Okay. So whenever you have real and equal roots, so what's going to happen again, if I'm going to draw the parabola, since we're only focusing on quadratic equations, you'll observe your parabola to be something like this. It's going to touch the x-axis at only one point. So many people feel that there is only one root, but that's not the right way to put that up. It still has two roots. It's just that both the roots are equal. The value of both the roots are equal, but you still have two roots. Alright, last case is when d is less than 0 or discriminant is negative. If your discriminant is negative, then the roots are imaginary. And the roots are imaginary. So let's take an example. Let's say I have this equation x square plus x plus 7. X square plus x plus 7. So it's going to be minus 1 plus minus under root of b square, which is 1, minus 4 into 1 into 7 divided by 2. That's minus 1 plus minus under root of 1 minus 28, which is like minus 27 divided by 2. Now whenever you have a negative quantity inside the root, it is an imaginary quantity. Negative inside the under roots are not defined because under root is only defined for non-negative numbers. So this basically goes to iota or imaginary numbers. Okay, but anyways, the point is, if your discriminant is less than 0, then you have imaginary roots. The final answer, if you wish to calculate, will be like minus 1 plus minus 3 root 3 or root of minus 3 divided by 2. Right? Anyways, I hope the concept is clear. We are not focusing on simplification of any calculation. So what do you mean by this? Like, how do you graphically represent this? Now imaginary root, whenever you're gonna have imaginary root, that means your parabola, since you are talking about specifically the quadratic equation, it will never intersect the x-axis. It's going to be something like this, or it's going to be something like this. It will not intersect the x-axis. If it is not intersecting the x-axis, it's not going to have any specific value of x for which y will be equal to 0. Like you can see it for yourself. For example, let me draw a proper graph with x and y axis for you so that you understand this clearly. So this is my y-axis and this is my x-axis, right? Let's say I draw a parabola something like this. Now, can you figure out any point on this parabola for which y will be equal to 0? There is no point on this parabola for which y will be equal to 0. Or basically, let me put it this way, can you figure out any value of x on this parabola for which y will be equal to 0? No, you can't. There is none. Okay, so it's imaginary. There are imaginary roots, there are no real roots. Okay, so I hope the three things are clear to everyone. First is, what are roots? How do you define them? Roots are also known as solutions or the x-intercepts. There's a reason why we call them x-intercepts. Then how do we calculate them? There are two things. One is formula, one is the middle term splitting. Once we'll be solving questions, you'll have a better understanding. Don't worry about that. But I hope the process or the concept is clear. And the third thing we'll discuss is the nature or the types of the roots. So we basically have three natures or three types. One is real distinct, one is real and equal, third one is imaginary. And all three things depends upon the value of discriminant, that is b square minus 4ac, or that is d. Okay, so let's keep it till here. As far as this video is concerned, let's not make this video long. And from the next one, we're going to discuss how do you calculate sum and product of the roots. And then we'll also discuss how to calculate the equation if the roots are given to you. Okay, and then we'll be solving like a couple of questions. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Keep watching and keep learning. Thank you so much.